reacting live to a character idea for D.Mon, who is actually a character in the Overwatch lore. Now, this was sent to me by Pop Rocks on their YouTube channel here. I have not watched this yet. They're actually in my chat right now, so they'll be hopefully talking about it as well. So please go ahead and subscribe to them if you like this idea. There it is right there. It's just Pop Rocks. But yeah, this is D.Mon. So if you don't know, D.Mon is a character in the Overwatch lore, who is D.Va's, like, part of D.Va's mech squad, basically. We've seen all of their, like, ideas, and I'm sure people have been speculating for years now that they would add another one of the mech agents into Overwatch's heroes, but they haven't done it yet. So let's see. It is a tank concept. I think D.Mon has a really big mech, so they naturally lend themselves better to tank. So we are going to watch this. I'm going to turn up the volume a little bit so you guys can hear it. And let's see what is going on.
I am Pop Rocks, and this is the first addition to my character concept series. In this series, we're going to cover concepts that either I've made up on my own or off of like fan art, concept art for old heroes, etc. This episode will cover D.Mon.
Okay, it's the first in the series, so if this interests you, go subscribe to them, because there's going to hopefully be more.
A tank concept.
Now, the goals for this D.Mon tank concept is to have a closer range tank, keep the mecha squad member feel, but also make her different from D.Va.
All right, closer range tank. I think I'm trying to think. I guess it's not like most tanks have decently, like, they're not so far, but I guess recently, like, Malga has okay range. Who's the other tank before that? Ramatra also got some okay range. Junker Queen, not so much. The Ori rework obviously has got some range on her. So obviously this makes sense. Keep the mecha squad feel. We'll have to see what you mean by that. Because I don't know, like, does D.Va have a mecha squad feel, or does she have like a D.Va feel? But you want to make her different from D.Va. So I want to see, like, what do you think is like what makes the mecha squad, right? The mecha feel is probably like the mobile, like, booster jets, like I'm in a big mech, right? That's probably what they're going for. But yeah, I love her feel for the squad is the remech D-mech. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Kind of like the Titanfall influence, right?
HP wise, I think D.Mon should be roughly the same as D.Va, maybe slightly less health but more armor. So her overall might be a little
more armor than D.Va. Oh, Jesus. D.Va's already got a lot of armor.
For her passives, obviously, D.Mon will have the tank passive, but I'm going to give her another passive called Last Resort.
Okay.
Basically, upon D.Mon dying, instead of exiting her mech, kind of like D.Va does, her mech will explode in a radius from 1 to 3 meters, doing 200 to 50 damage. So if you're right on top of her when she dies, you will receive 200 damage when she explodes.
But so it's like Junkrat Death Mines, or actually it's probably better. There is actually a what's it called? There, when you get demagged in Titanfall, there's like a thing like that too. I guess that's kind of what D.Va's explosion is anyways, but this is like any time you get demagged, so you can go much more aggressive and actually be like kind of a threat. Like, it may be worth it for you to blow up and actually secure a kill. I think that's really interesting. Oh, so you just die still. Okay, you said this is instead of D-Mech, since Dev said a D-Mech like D.Va will never happen again. Apparently it does make a lot of bugs. There are a lot of bugs that come with that. Just the way it's coded, the way the engine works. So yeah, that makes sense. So basically, like, you're not necessarily wanting to die, but if that's, I guess it's called last resort, right? It's like you really have no option here, so maybe you can take somebody with you. It's kind of the idea.
D.Mon's primary fire is called Fusion Blade. I want it to be pretty similar to Reinhardt. Say it has more damage here, but I think
similar to Reinhardt,
considering I made it more effective against shield health heroes, since more and more heroes are coming out with shields rather than armor or over health abilities.
Ooh, this is weird. Fusion Blade. Okay, it's like Reinhardt swing, sure. More effective against shield health. I don't know about this one, because it's like, here's the way I see it. It's like, you know how Ramatra kind of just like wins against Reinhardt, just kind of single-handedly. What is like this just kind of shreds those oh, wait a minute. You're talking about like characters with shields on their health bar.
You don't want to do. Against D.Va, you might counter swap to like a Symmetra or a Zarya. Against D.Mon, you don't want to do that. She'll just do more damage to you.
Oh, okay.
So,
that's interesting. Maybe Juno and Zen. Right. I think that is interesting, but my problem with that is like now you are just like, I guess there are characters that like ignore other things, like Winston ignores armor and stuff, but like yeah, you know what? Honestly, maybe I am okay with this. Just for like this one ability, right? You just like specifically Zen or Juno or whoever, they do not want to get close to those characters. Now, I will say you have to be careful with this because there are tanks with shields, and I don't know if I would want this kind of tank to really be that much better against like adding more tank counter swapping is pretty like rocky. Yeah, I mean, if it were just like barely, I think that's fine. Like you don't want it to be like too much. I think it's an interesting interaction. Basically, like against Sigma or Zarya, I guess honestly, now that I'm saying it, like what your swing does 100 and you do like 120 damage if they have a shield. I'm pretty sure that just gets rid of Sigma and Zarya's shield like instantly almost. I guess ball is counted in that, but like not really. So really, it doesn't quite matter. It just cuts the shield. It just does like one initial burst. Honestly, that's really not that bad. I think that's okay.
Fusion shield. I want it to have 1000 HP, regenerate when it's not in use at 200 HP per second after 1.5 seconds. The destruction of the shield will put it on a 4-second cooldown, and it's roughly 6 meters.
I would say like I'll see what the rest of your abilities are, but like you gotta be careful. You don't want to make her too similar to Reinhardt. Like I don't know how I feel about a character that is kind of like, it seems like she's just like D.Va plus Reinhardt, right? Like what makes her unique, right? Like what really makes her unique other than just being like the mixture of the two. Think about like Ashe. In my opinion, Ashe doesn't like, she's kind of like the in between Widow and Cass, and it kind of makes her a little boring IMO. She's just kind of like there. You want to make sure like what is the thing that this character brings to the table. We'll see what the other the old be very, very unique. Okay, we'll see.
So have the boosters ability. It's literally the exact same as D.Va's, but D.Mon can
primary
hold
and secondary fire can be used during the boosters. Okay, that's fun.
Or she can use her primary sword while boosting, but she cannot do both at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. The idea that you can use it while you're boostering. That actually, like, it's like Rhine charge, but you can go multiple directions, but you can also like protect yourself during it. Like, I think that's cool. Same mechanically as D.Va's. I will say, just be careful with that because the Overwatch team does not like to add abilities that are the same to characters. Take out the wall climb passives, except for those. But otherwise, no one has the same ability as another character. So if this were actually they would have to do something with the boosters to make it function at least slightly different than D.Va's. Because they wouldn't just want to like copy and paste boosters. I don't think. I couldn't think of different boosters that wouldn't be just worse. Like, I don't think there's a problem with them being worse. D.Va's have a lot of mobility, or, you know, the other thing that you could do is just like maybe give her some free flight ability, just like she can just kind of take off for a couple of seconds. You could do it like it's kind of Rhine charge, like omnidirectional, where you can kind of just barely steer it once you started it, you know, like you could go all the way up, and you could do something like that, right? Like, I don't think it's necessarily a problem for it to be worse than D.Va's, but, you know, like, you can like remember that you can use your 100 damage swing, and you can use your shield and stuff like that. Like, like I think there's stuff you can do there that can make it act a little differently. And also, I think you also have to be careful, like, with how much you give a character and how counter playable it is, right? Um, I don't know. It's just something to think about there. I think there's a
Or
lot you can do with movement
she's just
abilities
too
like
much.
that.
I did not give D.Mon an ability 2 because
Okay.
I do think heroes now are too overkitted, and that applies to my concepts as well.
I mean, she has an ability too. It's her shield. I mean, her shield is her other ability. Um, she just doesn't really have a secondary fire, really. So yeah, I mean that's fine. I think that's okay for her not to have like a proper other ability.
Finally, D.Mon's ultimate,
Right,
Nuclear
nuclear
Overdrive.
overdrive.
First thing that happens is her last resort passive is almost doubled in size, going from 1 to 3 meters in range to 2 to 5 meters in range.
That's just funny, right? I love the funny stuff. I think Overwatch needs more like less like basically not useful very much, but just kind of like silly haha. Because like you don't want to use your ultimate ability to just like extend your range for your death bomb. I don't think it's probably not worth it. But I like this silly a lot. Just it's always an option. It's always you could do that. I'll say it. I miss Parting Gift. They should have never replaced it or taken it away. It was really funny. I think they should have just made it so that enemies can't pick it up. I think it was fine, but
Next, her fusion shield is transformed into a second fusion blade, so she becomes a dual-bladed tank.
okay.
And then she has 20% damage reduction and a 10% movement speed increase, which will stack with her booster's speed increase.
I get what you've done here. This is the easy ultimate, right? It's what we call in fighting games. You would call it an install. It's just you basically make your character a better version of them, right? It's not. It's basically like for a certain period of time you can still function and play the game regularly, but you have different abilities or enhanced abilities or something like that. It's really easy, but also when you're struggling to find an ult that really works well with what you're going for, right? Like you don't want to make an ult that is just completely outside of what the kit does. Like you want it to still mesh with the kit. Why not just make it so that you just do what you do a little better? I think it's easy and it works, right? It's effective. I think this is my less install since her gameplay loop is now ultra aggressive. I mean, yeah, I understand. Like Winston Primal is an install, right? Like there's different types. It's not just powering up him. Like he loses options, but he's still playing. Basically, it's not just like, oh, I'm hitting a button and something is happening, right? Like you are still controlling the character in some way and changing what they do for a certain amount of time. Yeah, I like that. I assume that the idea is that you can like double sword swing, like they're on separate cooldowns or separate, like you hit left click and you get one and you hit right click and you hit the other, or maybe they just come together and you just do double damage. Oh, of course, awesome. So I think that's fun, right? I think that's actually really interesting because you get to go for like, do I want the big burst damage and hit them all together, or do I want the more sustained like something like that, right? That may work for like, okay, so I want to kill Lamp, right? So let's say they're gonna get Lamp, so I can hit one of them and kill the Lamp and hit BAP, and then hit the other one and do the rest of the damage after the Lamp is done and kill him. That's really like a cool decision to make there. I also like this because yes, there's some damage reduction, yes, there's some speed boost, but you are still susceptible to being booped. You're still susceptible to a lot of stuff. In fact, you don't have your shield anymore, so it's really like risky to use. And the fact that like you make your big blow up range. The problem, like I do say though, like you got to be careful with that kind of like last resort ability because it can't be too good to where it's an essential part of her kit. Because if that happens, then now you have to create a character around your tank has to be centered around dying. And I don't know if that is really something that they want to do. That I'm not sure, right? I don't know if that is really something that they would want. Yeah, the cast time is super necessary for it. But then I guess on the same part is that, you know, her kit is overall not as basically, here's how I can describe it. Right, it's like, let's say that the self-destruct is really important, right? And that you have to go for it. Well, now you've created a gameplay loop around losing your tank in the front line a lot of time, and you're always going to be trading, and you're never going to have a good advantage state anymore because your tank has to go in aggressively and get themselves killed. Maybe they have a shorter respawn. That would be maybe a bad idea, but something like that. Or now, with your character that has one less ability, and they have this other stuff that just can't really be good, the rest of their abilities either have to become juiced or like they're just kind of be worthless, and there's going to be a big part of their kit that is like really hard to use. It's I think it's a really weird, like you can have it in some part, like having the silly passive, I think that's perfectly fine, but putting too much into it or not having enough to supplement it, now you have a weird design decision to make, right? You have some design problems there. So I don't know, like I know you don't want to overload their kit, but I think giving them just another ability, maybe something to supplement a little bit of their range. Maybe not like an escape ability, like obviously they have the shield and they have their boosters, that's going to be more than enough, but some kind of longer range thing, maybe a knockback of some sort, a stun of some sort, anything like that, right? I'm not trying to say like give them everything, but maybe there is some way to give the character another, how they talk about like another knob, and then that's something else to balance. And like you want the game plan to be, basically you want the game plan to be around the abilities, you don't want the game plan to be around last resort or avoiding it completely, right? Maybe every once in a blue moon you can use it, but most of the time, like, that's hard. And in fact, if this were a character that was a DPS, again, like Junkrat has that, right? Not really as effective. I think it works way better on a DPS character like that. More so than a tank who really needs to not trade as much as possible. So it's funny. I like it, but I think there are a lot of problems that potentially can show up there. Cool. Good movie. Okay, again, one last time. Go follow them. Pop Rocks on YouTube. I'll give it a good thumbs up as well. But yeah, thank you. I like the idea. I actually like yeah, follow me. I like the idea here of just like the mobile kind of like the flying Reinhardt almost. I think the ult is cool, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe something else to distinguish her from Rein Diva could work at least like moment to moment, because ults only come up every like minute or two, right? When the moment to moment gameplay feel is going to be a little more similar to what you're seeing. So yeah, I think if she had one, just something to distinguish her a little bit more, and two, something that rounds out the kit better so that it doesn't, we talked all about the self-destruct, that would also probably be really good. But yeah, I think it's cool. Less samey is the next tank goal. Absolutely, sounds good. It sounds the Vishkar tank, that sounds cool. But yeah, anyways, once you are done following them on or subscribing to them on YouTube, you should subscribe to me on YouTube. That's right. Please leave a comment. Actually, you know what? Leave a comment on their video about what you think. That would be great. I think they would really appreciate that. Go ahead, like and subscribe to them and to me if you want. This was streamed live at twitch.tv/Lane Hemingway Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. You can come talk to me about it. Pop Rocks is in here talking to me about it as we speak. And then join my Discord if you have your own rework ideas, hot takes, character ideas, anything like that. You can send them to me. I may look at them on stream like I did here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good day.